Going on, everybody? Welcome. Thursday show propping up on Gold Boys Network, brought to you by Pickett and Boom Fantasy. Thank you to both of them. GriffyBets, joined by WallaBets. We're glad we had a little scheduling thing we need to work on, and we can talk today instead of yesterday because there are a whole bunch of games today. So hopefully we can get through everything we want to talk about. How has your week been, Walla?
It's been all right. It's been one of those, haven't been able to post post too many winners, but all those like same game parlays you throw in behind the scenes. I've been having some luck with those, but yeah, what is it? It doesn't really count when I'm not sharing it with anybody. So I'm hoping that hoping that we can talk over some winners here and have a nice day. I know yesterday there was a lot of people hitting same game parlays. That was nice to see everybody, having a good night. So let's see if we can carry that energy into today.
I know there's something so funny about I loved Colorado Pittsburgh for shots. So instead of running one of the many stacks I've been running for the last 2 weeks, I decided to just bet the game's over shots, which I covered, but clearly missed the train on the night where all the studs delivered. Um, but that's such is my luck at the moment, it would appear.
I thought
But
it was funny that all of those same game parlays came down to the juiciest or like the most juiced leg, which was McKinnon at 4 shots. He ended up, getting like five,
five. Yeah.
but it was still just, all of the legs of all these parlays, everybody's comes through. And then it was just like, oh crap, it's McKinnon, the minus, 500 leg that everybody was waiting for. But yeah, he came through. He's been awesome.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. The same game parlays definitely need to remain a part of the night. I've been trying to tinker a little bit with how can we figure out what the best games are to build around. Is it just the high profile offenses? Maybe looking at. I wish there was more books so we could have a more accurate feeling on the market, but Barstool does have their shot lines up, which you can kind of glean like, okay, at least Barstool thinks Florida Toronto's going to have 68.5 is what they set the shots are, which is the highest of the night. You probably don't need Barstool telling you that a Florida game is going to be a high shooting game, but looking at that stuff a little bit more, maybe some of the past matchups, averages, just location data, maybe we can start circling the right games to take some shots at. Because I'd like to win some of these parlays. I keep coming like a shot short. Calgary on Tuesday. I think it was just Lindholm ended on 3. On a 5-legger I built. So just keep sniffing the winners and keep coming up short. But maybe tonight I could win some.
Yeah, it's rough when you get close like that, but there's a lot of opportunity. Yesterday's game definitely was a nice, intersection of the data there that showed that would be a good one to target. And I think that we could follow some of that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people with Florida, Toronto, same game parlays, especially with Florida at home. But let's jump into the slate, start talking about some stuff.
Okay. Why don't we? I've got a lot written down. I don't have any bets in yet. Why don't we start with the first I'm seeing on PropSet Cash, which is Chicago, Washington. I think pretty high level. Obviously, Washington should be able to get some shots off here against Chicago, and I see a pretty significant power play edge. So if Washington gets a couple of those, they look pretty good to score once. So obviously, Ovi came to mind for me. His goals, he had a hat trick last time. He played Chicago December, scored the time before that. Had some big shot games against them as well, 5 and 10 the last 2. Something around Ovi looks pretty solid to me. That was one of the first things I wrote down when I started going through the board.
Yeah, I think when you look at him, a lot of the stuff is typically pretty juiced. They bump, he's up to the 4.5 line for shots now, so he's at even money. Way more consistent, a shot lower at 4. But I think he has good numbers against Chicago. I think probably look power play. Yeah, he's obviously awesome on the power play. He's been getting some power play points lately, has some against Chicago, and I think that makes the other pieces around him become more valuable, especially when he's feeling it. You got, I think one guy who's been really consistent is Strom, who's been with him. He's at minus 130 for a point, so that's very reasonable. He's been racking up points. He's got a couple power play points in there, but yeah, I think the pieces around Ovi, you could find some value there.
I thought I heard something that this goalie confirmed for Chicago is no good. And based on, and Washington's done a pretty good. I mean, they have lost some games to Chicago, but they're pretty consistently pouring on the goals against them. Even in the losses, they got a 4-goal loss, 5-goal loss in there. So maybe Washington's team total could be a play. I haven't checked what the price is yet. I'm trying to see if this goalie's got any. Hasn't played in a while. But yeah, I think a couple guys look good.
Yeah, I think for me, whenever I've been looking at the Capitals lately, I've been looking at a couple of those other guys, Strom, Oshie. Oshie's been solid at home with points as well. And both those guys are pretty reasonable numbers too. But yeah, Ovechkin looks great in this spot. Could definitely see him, just getting another goal on the power play here.
My browser froze. I was gonna say Kuznetsov down at 2. I'm not gonna be able to recall it this second, but he's getting 2 shots pretty frequently lately. I think he's got 1 miss in like his last 15 to 20 games. So I haven't done it yet. It's super modest, but even like Ovi to get 4, Kuznetsov to get 2 shots was minus 115. Certainly not the flashiest same game parlay, but seems pretty safe here against Chicago team that's letting up about 36 on the road lately.
No, you don't always have to go crazy with the same game parlays. I think that's a great thing about them too, is they offer you to be able to, make some nice builders. So that's not a bad one. It's 9 of his last 10. He has 2+ shots. So that's a nice matchup too. So there's a lot of good stuff like that. Yesterday, something I looked at and didn't end up pulling the trigger on, ended up throwing some more legs in there. But a real simple one would have been yesterday I was looking at like Malgin 2+ and Zucker 2+, which they both had in like the first period, which obviously isn't always going to happen, but there's a lot of opportunity to make some builders that are around even money there. So that's not a bad one at all.
And of course, both of them went for 3+. That's how it goes.
That would have been a hell of a hit if you laddered those guys or something, like did 3+ each. But yeah, there's so much opportunity here.
All right, let's keep it moving. I'd be fine to skip Minnesota Philly unless you have something. Did you look at that game at all?
Just Boldy caught my eye. Volume. It's got some nice volume last couple games. He's on a nice little point streak here, 6 games. Has point in 3 straight versus Philly, had 3 points last time they met, and he's been pretty solid on the road recently. Got a couple multi-point games, so just with his volume picking back up, I think he could be a possible look in this game for maybe shots or a point or something like that. That was what I had written down from that one.
I'm sure Hartman will deliver 3+ shots because he let everybody down the other day, and he has been a road warrior. So his goose egg against New Jersey might see some positive regression there. And he had 6 shots the last time he was in Philly. So I'm sure he'll come in. But I mentioned last week, if Zuccarello didn't come through for me, this team would now be dead to me. And he indeed failed me. And then I didn't listen to myself and went with Hartman anyway and lost. So now they're really dead to me. I don't even look at Minnesota games anymore.
Yeah, that's a very good bounce back candidate right there. Hartman. Zucker was one last game where so that if you like that angle, you could write that one down. But that was the guy I looked at in that game.
Bruins Montreal. in Boston. I mean, obviously looks like a great one for Boston. I think they can clinch the division here with a win. I don't hate their puck line, their team total. They've got pretty steady success against Montreal. I think they've won 8 or 9 in a row, and all but one has been by at least 2 goals. And obviously, a whole bunch of guys look good for shots and points. I thought shots wise, Jake DeBrusk has been a popular name floated around. He's hitting 4 of his last 5, and you can just the attempts aren't rising, but his efficiency is 3 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots, and he's gone over in 4 straight against Montreal, twice getting 5 shots. So I know he's a popular name. I wrote him down as well. I kind of want to do it. I might water him down to 2 shots, which he's hitting 7, 6 straight, and 8 of 10, and pair that with someone else in this game. But I think he looks fine at 3.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 2 looks great. I think 3 looks pretty solid. He's scored in 3 straight games, so there's motivation there, confidence right now with him. So I could see him still shooting, hitting 3 shots. Pasta looks good, I think as well. I was looking at, if you're looking at points, I think Lindholm is a guy who should be on your radar.
Yep.
He looks really good, fair price, pretty reasonable price, -122. He was on top power play, which is really big bump on Boston. That helps a lot. I think he had a power play point last game. He's at 290 for a power play point in this one. Montreal penalty kill is pretty terrible, so if they get on the power play, he could very easily get involved, or just get involved regularly. He had 2 points last game.
Yeah, I'm glad to see, in his last 6 games, Lindholm's got 7 points. And I'm glad that only 2 of those are on the power play. I mean, it's always a nice sort of tiebreaker when you're thinking between a couple guys, especially in a matchup like this. But I'm just glad to see that, majority are coming 5-on-5, because that is obviously where the majority of the game takes place. But yeah, I thought Lindholm at -122 looked really nice. I'm not too worried about him not getting any points against Montreal before. You're kind of just seeing an evolving role for the guy. So I thought he looked good. It's juiced, but Marchand point seemed like a really solid parlay inclusion today. He's got 6 in his last 3 games, and he just loves Montreal. I'd have to look back further, but at least in the last 2 years, he's got 9 points in 5 games. That might stretch back a little farther, but certainly liked seeing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could probably do.
A lot of success against Montreal.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like doing sometimes those same game parlays with a couple of points in there and stuff. So, if you're looking at him, that would, maybe make you look at Bergeron as well, or DeBrusk, who also been getting some points lately. So I like that line, or just Boston in general. Some nice looks today, and if you want to just get a straight play in there, Lindholm looks awesome. I have that's he's looking. I was looking at assists first, but I noticed he's got some. Got 3 goals lately too. So point at -122 seems pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not the flashiest thing, but I thought this is so watered down. But Bergeron, DeBrusk, and Marchand each get 2 shots, which just looking off how consistently they hit those numbers is a whole bunch, and all had nice history against Montreal. All 3 of them to get 2 is -125. Sure, you'd like plus money, but I don't know. I play things at -125 straight. I mean, you could tack on somebody else if you really wanted to. I mean, Pasta 3, which seems pretty likely, brings it to +106. I've seen, again, more exciting parlays, but I would expect Boston to get 35 plus shots here.
Yeah, there's some good looks. It gets hard to choose, when a few of the guys are rolling right now, but when if you're trying to find straight plays, it's harder to narrow it down there. I'm looking at Pasta at -120 and Nebraska -125. So it does seem nice when you could knock them down a shot and get involved on both of them. I do expect shots from these guys today. Just looking at recent games and the role. I'll probably go with Lindholm in this one for a point.
Yeah, seems solid. I think I might end up doing Boston's team total in some form. All right. Quickly, I know Rangers Carolina doesn't look like a great prop game, but I am a little interested. I don't bet a lot of money lines. I did during the playoffs last year. And this does kind of feel like a playoff-esque game to me, which is why I'm considering the Rangers to win, which last I saw, I think their money line was +125. Let me double check if that's still about where it is. +120. My reasoning was pretty simple. These teams just played 2 days ago. Carolina won. And I just kind of like the inverse happening 2 days later. Switching locations. New York's won 6-2, 6-2 the last two times they've went to Carolina. And it's just a massive game in that division. I mean, playoffs are almost here, which is crazy that we've gotten to this point, but this has that feeling to me. So I'm considering Rangers to win. I don't bet a lot of money line, but that was one of the first ones that popped up to me.
Yeah, I think I probably am gonna avoid this game from a prop perspective. There are some trends in it that you could find with some players, but I'd rather target some other games personally.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to touch that from a prop angle at all. One that I do need: Ottawa Tampa in Ottawa. I definitely was liking the Senators side here. Brian Elliott, I believe, has been confirmed in that too, which makes them look even better to me. Elliott Sogard goalie matchup screams, maybe take the over in this one, but to me, Brady Tkachuk is one of my favorites today. I think I'm going to take his goal, to be honest. I mean, his shots. So he got the bump up to 4.5 shots, which he's hit in 4 straight, 5, 8, 6, 6. At home and overall, he's averaging 5.8 shots on goal per game in his last 5. Awesome volume, obviously. And at home, he's got a goal in 7 of his last 8. And I believe last 2 times Tampa was in Ottawa, he's got a hat trick, and then he scored in the other game. I love the volume, love the matchup, especially with Brian Elliott in net. So his goal +150 is looking pretty good to me. And his shots, to be honest, I might bump it down to 4, but I don't hate it at 4.5.
Yeah, he's been picking it up lately. He was really steady at the 4 line. The over 3.5. He's been consistent. So the bump up makes sense with he's got better volume, and Tampa Bay's not a bad matchup. Definitely can get shots on them if they get some power plays. He should go off. I was looking at the other day. I was looking at him and Stützle for points. I think those two guys are linked pretty well. So,
still looks good. I got both those written down.
Yeah, they, a couple quiet games for Tim. Didn't get a point the past couple games, but they're very correlated, those guys. So, if you're liking Tkachuk, then I could see Stützle getting a point also.
Yeah, I thought those points looked good. I thought Stützle and Batherson at 3 both look pretty nice. Tkachuk at 4. And I don't hate Ottawa's team total here either. Again, especially with Brian Elliott in that.
Yeah, that's the better home numbers for those guys too recently. A couple misses, like I said, for Stützle, but those were road games, so looks better at home. Elliott in that makes that look really appealing.
I didn't really look at the Tampa side too much.
There was a name that kind of stuck out to me. It's just, I think it's worth talking about because we always talk about Kucherov or Point or Stamkos for a while. Sergachev, uh, he's been hitting his shots line, his 1.5 shots line. I mean, on the season, he has a 61% hit rate. You look at his attempts chart, and they're up a little bit recently. Some big attempt games in there for him. Hitting that 2-shot line, hit 4 shots against Ottawa. He's been getting points lately as well. 7 of his last 10, he has a point. 5 of those are 2-point games, and he had 2 points against Ottawa. So that's a name you could put on your radar if you're trying to do something different, or just find somebody who, that you're not used to looking at, but has some steady numbers there.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. I mean, I think Braden Point could be called out here. He had a little stretch in mid-March where he had 1 total shot on goal in 4 games. But his last 2 games, 2 shots on goal in 5 attempts, and then 4 shots on goal in 8 attempts. So you're kind of seeing what you might hope is the beginning of a ramp back up. And he does have 4 shots on goal in each of his last 2 against Ottawa. Pretty reasonable 2.5 at -108. I get why. I mean, for how quiet he's been, but if you believe that this might be the beginning of a rise back to points volume that he had in January, February, this would be a buy low spot.
Yeah, he was real rough for a bit there. So if he can come back to being that reliable guy, that'd be awesome. But if you're doing a same game parlay in this one, take a look at Sergachev lately. Just give him a look over. For a guy who needs 2 shots, he's got some games with 6, 7, 8 attempts in here recently. So that could be nice in there.
Yeah, that's a good call out. All right, let's keep it moving to Toronto, Florida. I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of same game parlays flooding into this one. I did place one myself right as we were going live. I mean, you don't need us explaining to you that Florida games are high shooting, like we mentioned, but worth noting that last 3 meetings, the average shots have been 70.3 in total. The Barstool line is 68.5, which is the highest. And I've just been kind of tinkering with, very imperfectly, but just going off last 10 location averages to try and gauge how many total shots we might be able to expect. And based on those averages, this one's the highest of the day at 68.6. Certainly a good game to take your chance on some same game parlay stacks, because a whole bunch of guys look good for shots.
Yeah. I mean, do you just want to talk about yours?
Sure.
Cover some guys there.
I thought Austin Matthews at 4 was the first one I thought looked great. He's got 4 in 8 of his last 9. Let's see how it looked on the road. 4 of his last 5 on the road. He's just had some big games against Florida lately. He had 5 when they met earlier this year, and the last 2 times, which were both in Florida, 7 and 8. Again, a guy I don't hate, straight at 4.5 at +110, but certainly love him at 4. This is a guy I might play straight. Verhaeghe at 4 also. He had 6 last time they met, and he's just been awesome. He's hitting 5 straight, averaging 5.8 shots on goal per game on 9.6 attempts. He's gone over 4, 7 of 8. Let's see how he's been at home lately. 8 of 10 at least.
In his last 4 games, he has 3 games with double-digit attempts.
Yeah, it's crazy. I do think I'll end up playing him straight. He's
solid.
I could keep going. Nylander at 3 looked pretty good to me. He's hit that in the past 2 meetings, and I believe it was on the road, just pretty steady at 3. Nothing too crazy there. Just felt like the right guy at 3. I can't articulate that one that well. Barkov at 3 seems super safe. I mean, he's hit it at least in 10 in a row. It looks like 10 in a row, and 16 of his last 18, he's gotten 3 shots at home. Looks like, 11 or 12 in a row. and both last 2 home games against Toronto, he got 3. So this is really just playing around with prop stock cash. Just it's easy to move things around. Barkov at 3 looks like a good leg.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I liked John Tavares at 3. Let's see
He's been
why.
great on the road.
Yeah,
That road chart did that one.
On the road, 8 of 10 against Florida. He's just had some nice games. 3, 4, 2, 6. So 3 seemed pretty reasonable. And then I moved Sam Reinhart down to 2. He's been very steady at 2 this year. I'm not going to be able to count up how many in a row he's gotten 2, but it's a whole bunch. But
Yeah.
at home this year, he's gotten 2 in 86% of games. He's only missed 5 times. So he seemed like a nice leg there too. And I know, Matt Kachuk's always a good option. I was just a little skeeved out about he just never seems to hit his shots against Toronto the last couple seasons. It's been like 9 games since he's gotten more than 3. So that just sketched me out a bit.
Yeah, if I was looking at him, I mean, his on the season this season, he's got a 78% hit rate, getting 3 shots on goal. So that one's just going to be what do you weigh? Yeah, what do you weigh more? Just how he's been overall this season, or against Toronto? Because even against Toronto this season, he had 1 shot on goal. Granted, that was an away game. Florida's better at home, but yeah, if you just want to stick with the home numbers, he's got 3 shots in 82% of his games. But yeah, I could see the concern, just not the history against Toronto. And if you're trying to build up a same game parlay, you want to feel confident in each angle. I really do like the Matthews 4. Verhaeghe looks really great at 4, which is fine straight play. But that could be where you're going with the same game parlay there. Those 2 guys, Barkov at 3, I really like, and Tavares at 3. Those were my favorites out of the ones you said, but they all have great hit rates for their lines.
Yeah, I'm just trying to balance, like, you see these big parlays cash and I just have, this is very transferable to my everyday life, but my eyes are usually bigger than my stomach. Whether it's loading up my plate or just loading up a ton of guys to get 4 shots when I should just be playing maybe a little more conservatively and taking some guys at 3. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Because the small brain in me wants to just pick 7, 8 guys all to get 4 shots and just expect it to hit because it looks so good when you put it all together. But I need to see some wins through the finish line. So I'm going to try to just water some things down a little bit.
That's definitely a solid game to look into for that. I think we can probably we could probably not get too deep into all of the players, but yeah, this is the shot line's high for a reason. They're expecting a big game here, and Florida at home has just been something else. So
I do want to briefly mention, I think the over looks pretty solid. I mean, when these 2 teams meet, the goals are flowing. I just really like one of those clear intersections of 2 strong power plays and 2 struggling penalty kills. So I always like seeing that. So I'm either going to play the over, which is I think plus 105 right now to get 7. But I'm also interested in a couple guys that have been steady and nice history. They're both on those top power plays, which is Mitch Marner. He's got 2 points in 6 of his last 9 on the road and 3 of his last 4 against Florida. A couple games he had 3 and 4 points in there too. He's plus 130 for points. And I thought Barkov also 1.5 points line. He's at plus 140. He's got that in 4 of his last 5, 3 straight at home, and 3 straight against Toronto. I thought both those looked really nice. So I'm debating how I want to play this game, but those are some of the angles I like.
Yeah, I think this should be an exciting game.
Yeah, I guess we can keep moving. I didn't have anything in St. Louis, Detroit. I'm sure what's his face will score because everyone bet him the other day. Vrana.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vrana. Everybody's playing that revenge angle. Him against Detroit. Now you can, if you want to go back to it. Now he's going to be in Detroit, so maybe there's a little bit in front of the old crowd or whatever, if you want to play that angle. But yeah, a lot of people were on him last game and he didn't come through. And you saw a guy like Zucker who did that the other game, bounce back. So if you want the bounce back angle, that could be there.
Yeah, I didn't really look at this game, but St. Louis has been allowing 4.1 goals per game on the road last 10. And Detroit, did you see Needle Dick's been recalled for Detroit? So keep your eyes peeled if he gets back on the ice. I love that guy between the pipes.
He was he was letting up a lot of goals. So if he can come back, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, the Blues have been pretty loose. No one was really talking about it being a revenge game for Perron. He's now got a point in 2 straight. He had a point against St. Louis. It's only minus 130 for one again. 5 of his last 9 at home. Nothing crazy, but that revenge does go 2 ways. But
yeah, that's definitely true. There hasn't been a lot of people bringing that one up. I think it's just Vrana just started off so hot with the Blues when he joined them that's kind of at the forefront of everybody's mind.
Makes sense. Seattle, Nashville. You want to talk about anything in this one?
Yeah, if you use Pickett, which you should be, it's a great app. You could find some nice one, you track your own bets, but I like to pop over there, maybe see if Barstool opens up any lines at a better price, which they tend to do. And a buddy of mine I chat to in Discord flagged it down that McCann had opened there at over 2.5 minus 125. And he was at like 3.5 on other books. That one just looked really good to me. I don't think that price is there anymore, minus 125, but that's a guy who's just seen a massive bump in his time on ice. His attempts are way up. They get on the power play. He's been shooting. So that one felt really good if you were able to grab that. But I still think he looks pretty good. The 3.5 line, obviously, he gets the bump up. So sometimes we see that they do that and then everybody bites on it and he might go under, but his volume's just, it's hard to ignore lately. If that's what you like to look for, McCann's been great, like 7+ attempts in a lot of these games. So
yeah, McCann's been one where I just kind of was never really on the train, so now it's just too late for me to join. Everyone always talks about him, and I don't know why, but Seattle's rarely on my radar for shots. So, but if he's been firing, I believe you. It seems like a lot of people like him today. So,
yeah, for me, it's you look over his last 10 games, he's hit the 3 shots line 9 times, 4 shots 7 times. You could just see a really clear jump when you look at his chart with like minutes. At the beginning of the season, there's hovering around 15, and then now he's up near 20. His attempts are just, it's a full season. His average on attempts is 4.8, but then you go lately it's 7.4. So some of that's being dragged down by earlier on. He's got 13 attempts, 9 attempts in some of these games. So that price just was, I think, a little bit off for how he's been performing lately, and it moved pretty quick. But yeah, that if you've been riding with McCann, I'm still gonna see if he can get it done tonight.
thought his point looked really solid. Been really steady there. I would have to look at what it was. Yeah, he's got 13 in his last 10. He's got 12 in his last 10 on the road, and point in both his 2 most recent games against Nashville. I don't hate the Kraken to score here. Just was looking at averages, them scoring a 3.3, Nashville letting up 3.4. Kraken last 2 games got 5 goals off against Dallas and 4 off against Edmonton. And they've definitely had Nashville's number in their brief history. 4 or more goals in 3 of 4 games, including a 5-1 win back in November. So I don't hate their team total or some guys to get points.
Yeah, I think just if you're looking at the other side in any way, I think I just wanted to flag. We talked about him a while ago, and I think kind of fallen off. People aren't really talking about Predators too much, but Novak's been quietly producing lately with points. Um, he's got a point in 6 of his last 7. He's coming off a 2-point game. He's been getting both assists and some goals here. He's got 5 goals recently. So if you're looking for anybody who might be seeing some extra opportunity, Novak's another guy. His time on ice has gone up a lot from beginning of the season, and on a team where there's not too much to look at, he's been quiet, pretty steady, quietly. Just wanted to bring him up.
Yeah, he always catches my eye when I'm digging into Nashville points.
That's about it. Just really like
all
McCann, been awesome.
Next game I would say is probably your best bet to run another same game parlay stack. Pittsburgh, Dallas. Pittsburgh, another one of those teams that just tends to get into these high shooting games. I mean, they just did last night. And Dallas has been not the tightest to shots, and they're averaging about 33 of their own at home lately. So, and for whatever it's worth, Barstool has this shot line at 65.5, which is the second highest of the day. So they're in agreement there. So I thought just a crap ton of guys looked good, watered down. Too many names I wrote down looked good at 2+. I don't know if there's anyone, if you dug into this, that you were feeling passionate about.
Not just another. I always like to point out these kind of things. Same thing as last game, Gensel. He's super juiced on Barstool, but you can get the 2.5 line there. I'm sure there'll be an alt line available on FanDuel today, but sometimes there's the price is a little bit better. He's been looking pretty good. On this one, the biggest trend that stands out to me with these teams is probably just Heiskin and point.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That guy's on fire right now. Lots of multi-point games. I think it's 11 straight games he's got a point in. He didn't get one his last time versus Pittsburgh. So, if you want to think that if they can keep him quiet again, and that's where the streak ends, that's one way to look at it. But he did have a point in 2 games prior against them. Maybe he can keep it rolling here, but you just got to flag that this guy's been on fire right now with points and a lot of assists as well. Penguins, that was a lot of shots yesterday and stuff, so could be a little tired.
No, yeah, I definitely like Heiskin and point. I almost wonder if we just keep it moving, because it's one of those games where a lot of guys look good watered down. I didn't think anyone looked amazing straight, and there's not even alts up at this moment. If you want to keep it moving, just in the interest of time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Calgary, Vegas is next. Is there any saves props up yet? I know just for Markstrom. I would be interested in a Vegas goalie saves prop here if they give it to us. I mean, I know they will give it to us. Just when they do, I mean, certainly think Calgary can get their shots.
Yeah, Vegas has loosened up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So there should be opportunity there. It's not groundbreaking in any way. Foley looks good at his 2.5 shot line as usual. He's got a lot of hits against Vegas. And he's just been one of the most consistent guys that you could bet on this season for shots. And with Vegas loosening up, nice history there. And I think, a lot of people might just avoid maybe looking at Calgary, but they can still let up goals. And on the Vegas side, Riley Smith, if he hasn't been on your radar for points, pretty late into that now, but he's still rolling 9 straight games with a point, plus money. It's a interesting price there. He's got 3 points his last 2 against them, and like I was saying, Calgary, it's not like they're just shutting teams out or anything.
Not
So
at all.
that's a really interesting one. A guy on a 9-game point streak getting a plus 108 line.
I believe he's been hitting against Calgary last couple too. I mean, Jacob Markstrom's in net. He's let up 6 goals in his last 2 starts. And I've said this Flames team is not good. Um, they had their
You
backs.
have been adamant about that.
They got their backs against the wall against the Ducks, and they took care of business. And now I'm wondering if they're like, we did it, we're back, and then they play Vegas, and they remember that they're not. Yeah, I thought Smith point looks awesome straight. I thought Trangelo point looked really good as well. I think it was plus 140 on Caesars.
Pie with the apples. He's got a lot of assists, so that's the apple pie player right there.
It's just been 1 goal. Man, he's plus 195 for an assist. I can't, if I do an assist on a defenseman, he's going to score twice. But he's got 11 points in his last 7 games. Let's see how many of those have come on the road. He's
Still
got
plus 138 for a point. Wow.
6 points in his last 5 on the road. And against Calgary, he's got a point in their last 2 meetings, including 1 week ago. Plus 138. I mean, yeah, him and Smith both at plus money. That's really hard for me to pass up. So I'm not going to. I'm going to bet them.
It's good prices. It's just it's that just looking at Calgary. I think there's some teams that you just get better prices against, but you can take advantage when they're loosening up, and they've been letting up goals. So a couple of these guys are just feeling it. That I just think that's pretty. It's a really nice price for Petrangelo with his recent production for sure.
I think if you're going to play a guy straight here, I'm kind of interested in Lindholm's shots or even money. He's got 3 or more in 7 of his last 9 and 4 of his last 6 against Vegas. But this is another, I mean, alts are up in this, like Lindholm, Toffoli, and Mangiapane, who I thought looked really good at 2. All of them to get 2 is plus 132. I mean, super simple, but that seems for some reason they don't have Backlund, of course, up on the alts because they like to leave out these guys that look really good. I thought Backlund at 3 looked awesome, but these other guys, that's going to have to be a play for me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about Mangiapane for a while at 2. He went a little bit cold, but volume's looking pretty steady.
I mean, at 2, he's hitting 8 of 10 at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
5 of 6 against Vegas. So down at 2 looks great.
Yeah, there's definitely some opportunity in this game. I think good prices there. I love those point angles you talked about. It just seems like there's just Calgary's being a little bit they're overvaluing just their defense and stuff, I think, lately.
I would say so.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. Vancouver, San Jose. I was definitely interested in. I thought Vancouver goals looked really, really good, and there's the Sharks are getting penalized a lot, and there's a power play edge that Vancouver's
JT Miller.
JT Miller's shots and goals both look great.
Guy's on fire at home.
Vancouver just absolutely obliterates the Sharks. They've got 4+ goals in 8 straight meetings and 10 of the last 11 dating back to 2019. So just seeing the averages, seeing a power play edge, I'm going to need some kind of form of Vancouver scoring. I thought Pettersson and Miller both look good.
Yeah, I think that's a really great combo. I mean, you can even see their power play points they were pretty low, so they're expecting some damage to be done. Miller, I've talked about his home hit rate for shots. I think he's got a goal in at least 4 straight at home or something like that.
He's been great.
Yeah, he should get his chances on the power play. for sure. And that would lead me to think that, Pedersen can get involved, maybe an assist or something. He's been pretty solid with those.
He's got a
Uh,
goal in 3 straight too against the Sharks.
yeah, so definitely looks like some good combos available there. Sharks are just not much to really talk about. They've just, I mean, I guess Hurdle is like, I guess he stands out to me. Still pretty reasonable price for his shots, and he's seen the biggest volume increase with everybody else gone. You see very rarely was getting over like five attempts would be where he would get a lot of the time, some big games, but then you look over his last 10 games and he's got 3 games with 5 or less, and then everything else is 6 attempts, 7 attempts, 8 attempts, 9, 11. So he's got way big increase in his production volume, been hitting his shots line. He's got 4 and 7 his last couple against
Who is
Vancouver.
this?
So that could
Who
be a
is
little,
this? Hurdle?
yeah, Hurdle.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that side, but yeah, he's been awesome. Have you?
That's
Did
where the
you?
volume went.
I don't know what happened last game. Did you look at Kuzmenko point at all? He's got a point in 15 of his last 20 at home, and he has 5 points in 3 games against the Sharks. But his last couple games, his minutes on ice are going way down, which certainly scares me. 13. He went from basically a steady 17 to 20 minutes per game. His last two, 13.2 and 11.6. So I don't know what's going on there.
Look at the power play.
Huh.
No, last 3 games, just over a minute on the power play. So
Yeah, they did still get a couple opportunities. So yeah, he must have got bumped down, I guess.
yeah, if that could be maybe it. I would have to look at the lines, see if there's some changes there.
I mean, that's
But
a drastic jump just because of power play.
yeah, just the three games prior to that, he had some massive power play time. So that
Left wing
definitely
lock,
helped.
left wing lock still has him on the top one. That's weird.
Well, if they get the chances against San Jose, that certainly helps. Has been better at home as well.
All right, let's quickly. We're running real tight on time. Maybe we don't need to mention it, but I thought. I mean, obviously, Winnipeg against the Ducks. Did take shot props against the Ducks. I don't know. I didn't find any. I might go back to Nino. Niederreiter shots just because he let me down last game. But he's been really consistent at 3 since joining the Jets and against the Ducks. I know it was with a different team, but he had 6 shots against them last time, 5 back last year as well. But I thought the usual guys, Ehlers, Connor, Scheifele, Morrissey, in some kind of stack all looked fine. I'm willing to take a shot, even though they keep breaking people's hearts.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a nice target. Just Jets player props don't give me much confidence at the moment. No, it's a good spot though, but would have liked to seen more success and some steadiness from some of these players recently. There is a lot of volume from Morrissey lately, and he's just not putting them on net. So it's hard to really look around. You want to follow a guy with volume, but when he's not being consistent, it's tough. It's a good target for those guys. I don't know who to hone in on yet.
All right, why don't we try to quickly transition best bets? Do you have any that you're loving based on what we walked through?
Uh, yeah, I mean McCann, but that one's moved a little bit. I do like Lindholm on the Bruins. I think he's a good look for a point today, especially. Yeah, just look over the lines once again. I don't think I saw much change. If he's on that top power play, that'll be really helpful for him against Montreal. So I liked that one. I like those point angles you talked about on Vegas. Just Calgary has not been as solid lately, and there's some good plus money on a few of those guys.
Yeah, I think I'll probably put a half unit on each. You know, if one hits, you end up slightly in the green, but I'd be down for both to win. It's a crazy idea. I'm
Pick
trying to
I was gonna say a hidden one, Sergachev today. If you're looking
sure.
for you want to put somebody on your radar that might not be as talked about as much on Tampa. It's a guy who's been getting points and shots lately, and maybe not talked about as much. So that could be a nice look there.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull out some of my favorite straights because I do have a feeling it's going to be a big, water some guys down and combine kind of day. I had some success with that Tuesday, so I'd like to have more success overall. Um, so that's one way I hope to. But I had Barkov and Marner points looked pretty nice to me in what projects to be a high scoring game. Just nice trends, location against those teams. I like they're both involved in the power play. I haven't checked what the odds are for over 1.5 power play goals. I have a feeling it's not going to be close to even money based on how often these teams score against each other. Brady Kachuk goal. I'm going to have to bet that. I really like his volume, his history against Tampa, and him at home lately has been awesome. And I think I'm going to have to play Rangers money line because I've been thinking about it so much that if I don't, I'm going to be really upset when they win.
That's fair.
So that, and with the Vegas points, those are some of my straights, and all of them are plus money, which is good. And then we'll pick up the scraps from there.
Yeah.
Pick play of the day today, I guess, is I guess it's got to be Alex Pietrangelo point, right?
I was gonna say we both thought that one stood out. He's been producing really well lately, and we both think the Flames can let up some goals. I know normally we have a more prepared pick, but this slate was it's so massive. Just had a lot of notes today. But I like that one. I like it also because his name starts with pie and he can get an assist, which is an apple. So it's the apple pie player right there. Let's cash it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, he has what he's got 11 points in his last 7. 10 of them are assists. Um, assist is plus 195, point is plus 138. For what it's worth, he's got 14 shot attempts in his last 2 games, so point feels a little safer, but yeah, the assist is obviously what it's been. But yeah, I like that one. Markstrom's not scaring me at all.
No.
Cool. All righty. Well, hopefully you wrote some stuff down. We threw a whole bunch out there. Thanks for joining. Let's win some bets. I know I'd like to. And then yeah, we'll see you guys back here on Monday.
Yeah, go take advantage of the same game parlay option if you can. It's been some nice wins out there, and keep it manageable, but they don't always keep that around. So have some fun with it if you can.
Yeah, and if you can't access FanDuel, I mean Boom Fantasy has you covered there, gives you the capabilities to combine some guys in the same game. So go hop over there if you don't have access to FanDuel.
See you guys.